Hi, this is a short video on exchange rates for Year 12 economics. Exchange rates are a very common question for our exams. Since the change in standards in 2013, there has been an exchange rate question every year. There are generally two types of exchange rate questions. We're going to look at one of these today. That's the one where we see comparative changes in demand or supply and the effect on the exchange rate, appreciation or depreciation. The second question is more about, here's an appreciation of the exchange rate, how will that affect various sectors in the economy, employees, exporters, importers, etc. We'll have a look at that question in another video. Now the question comes from a trade exam or test I gave you last week, but we can use it to see how a normal exchange rate question is actually done. Here's the resource. It's talking about apple exports, and this is giving us a very brief idea of what or how important apple exports are to the economy and how they've changed. Our first job is to see how an increased apple exports affects the New Zealand dollar. In other words, we're going to look at our graph and see how it has changed. Once we've made a change, we're going to try and explain it in detail to get to at least a merit level. Okay, here we go. So the first thing to realize is that any resource is going to make you either change demand for New Zealand dollar or supply for New Zealand dollar. You do need to remember the three things that affect both. So demand for New Zealand dollar is going to be affected by people buying our products, or by tourists coming to New Zealand, or by interest rates. Supply of New Zealand dollar is going to be affected by us buying imports, or New Zealanders going overseas on holidays. And again, interest rates. Now this was an increase in apple exports. So what's going to happen is that our demand for the New Zealand dollar is going to increase. It's going to increase because they need to buy more of our currency to buy more of our exports. We can see this causes an increase in price from P to P1. And though quantity goes from Q to Q1, that is not our focus of our attention. Right in that, we get three very simple steps. First off, very important, you state what actually happened. Here, I'm just stating demand for New Zealand dollar has increased from DNZ1 to DNZ1. You must use the labels from the graph. That is the key to economics at all levels. Give a reason for this. As I said, what we need when we sell more exports, overseas people need to have more New Zealand currency to buy those exports, therefore they need to demand more New Zealand dollars. The result, P to P1, is an appreciation. And we finish off our explanation by stating it's an appreciation from P to P1. You must use the word appreciation and not an increase. Jargon or language is very important to economics, and you will miss out on a very simple merit by not including this word. As you can see, it's not a lot of writing, but it states what you did, gives a reason for what you did, and gives an outcome. An alternative question, which we see in the same exam question, is interest rates. It's quite common to have one question focus on something that moves demand or supply, and then the second part to focus on interest rates, which affects demand and supply. So in this case, Graham Wheeler, Reserve Bank Governor, is going to cut interest rates. So what happens? Now we have to go through a three-step process. We're going to go for the merit level, which is change the graph, explain the impact, and then we're going to go to the excellence level, which is compare and contrast the impact of increased apple exports with that of cutting interest rates. Here we go. Cutting interest rates. First off, supply is going to increase, demand is going to decrease, price is going to depreciate. Let's see if we can explain it. First step, once again, state what you did. Cutting the OCR will decrease demand from DNZ to DNZ1, increase supply from SNZ to SNZ1. Short, sweet, Simple. Remember, interest rates will affect both curves. It's the only thing that does, and that's why they're quite common to be asked. Giving reasons for it. Now, these are very simplistic reasons. We can add a little bit extra, but the basis is covered. So for demand, decreases. Foreign investors who were looking to invest in New Zealand to get high returns now are going to see lower returns, so therefore they're not going to invest in New Zealand banks and institutions, and thus they will demand less New Zealand dollars to do so. New Zealanders will also go and find other markets with better returns. So as they're going to go overseas, they need to buy foreign currency. To buy foreign currency, they need to sell New Zealand currency, which is why supply increases from SNZ to SNZ1. Both the increased supply and decreased demand will depreciate the exchange rate from P to P2. Again, you must use the word depreciate and not fall or decrease. I haven't changed quantity because I made the change in supply and demand exactly the same. It's not important to worry about changing quantity up or down. It is the price level that we are interested in. So that's another merit answer. Now the compare and contrast for the excellence. Well, in this case, it's a fairly straightforward answer. First off, state what you believe. So the first bullet point, I'm going to be quite clear. Cutting the OCR will have a greater impact than increasing apple exports. I've also referred to the graph, so I know that one depreciation is greater than appreciation. So that's my statement. I made that statement and I also already had the merit level at 1A and the merit level at 1B from the previous two graphs. I'll probably get an E7. To get the E8, just got to give a reason why we believe one is greater than the other. Now, this is quite a straightforward reason. There are more difficult reasons occasionally, but here, because interest rates affect supply and demand, it's going to have a greater effect than apple exports, which only affect the demand. This is probably the easiest of the EA answers, so I really do hope that you actually get it in the exam. As I said, it's about the movement, relative movements. It's not because one increases or decreases, it's the relative movement we're interested in. Other questions can be about, okay, we're appreciated or depreciated exchange rate. How does it affect another model? Or how does it affect other groups? Those are possible other questions. Okay, that is exchange rates for the trade exam we had last week. Hope it helps. Look at the writing, look at the graphs. Please make sure you know how to do exchange rates. They will be in the test. Okay, thank you.